Jake Sullivan stared at the massive screen in front of him. The bridge of the ESS Liberty was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. His crew watched the dark space ahead, waiting for something to happen. They had been on patrol for 3 weeks now, checking the outer edges of the solar system for any signs of trouble. "Commander, I'm getting some strange readings," said Maya Rodriguez from her station. She was the best tactical officer Jake had ever worked with. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked. He moved closer to look at her screen. The numbers didn't make any sense to him either. "It's like something big is coming through space, but it's not showing up on our normal sensors. The gravity detectors are going crazy though." Maya's voice was steady, but Jake could hear the worry in it. Suddenly, the space in front of them began to change. The stars seemed to bend and twist like someone was stirring water. Then, without any warning, huge ships appeared out of nowhere. They were unlike anything humans had ever built. The ships were dark and smooth, with no visible engines or weapons. They just hung in space like giant black diamonds. "How many ships are there?" Jake asked, his mouth suddenly dry. Maya's hands shook as she counted. 50. No, wait. More are coming through. I count over 100 now, and they're still appearing. Jake grabbed the communication device. "This is Commander Sullivan of the Earth Defense Fleet. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." The response came immediately, but not through their radio. The voice appeared directly in their heads, speaking in perfect English. "We are the Cathari Dominion. You will surrender your planet immediately. You have 72 hours to comply." The bridge fell silent. Jake felt his heart beating fast in his chest. He had trained for first contact with alien species, but not like this. The voice in his head was cold and emotionless, like someone reading a shopping list. "Sir, I'm detecting weapons on those ships," Maya said. "The energy readings are off the charts. Their smallest weapons are more powerful than our biggest ones." Back on Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter sat in the command center deep under the Rocky Mountains. The walls were covered with screens showing the alien fleet. She had been in the military for 30 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. "How long until our fleet can reach them?" she asked her aide. 6 hours at best, Admiral. But our ships are no match for their technology. We've run computer simulations and the results are not good. Lisa nodded grimly. She had seen the same reports. Every simulation showed the same result: human defeat within minutes of actual combat. Dr. Alex Bennett was in his laboratory in Geneva when the news reached him. As Earth's top expert on alien life, he had always dreamed of first contact. But not like this. He watched the footage of the alien ships and felt a chill run down his spine. "They're so confident," he muttered to himself. "Too confident. In all my studies of evolution and survival, I've never seen a species achieve this level of dominance without facing serious challenges. Yet they act like they've never met real resistance." The alien ships moved closer to Earth, passing through the planet's defensive satellites like they weren't even there. The satellites' weapons fired automatically, but the energy beams went right through the alien ships without causing any damage. Captain Nina Walsh led a squadron of Earth's fastest fighters toward the alien fleet. Her orders were simple: get close enough to scan their technology and report back. She knew it was probably a suicide mission, but someone had to try. "Stay close to me," she told her pilots over the radio. "We're just here to look and learn. Don't do anything stupid." As they approached the alien ships, Nina felt strange. The alien vessels were beautiful in a terrifying way. They seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, making them look like holes in space itself. "I'm getting readings now," said her scanner operator. "Their hull material is something we've never seen before. And the energy signatures?" "Nina, I don't think these ships follow the same laws of physics that we do. Suddenly, bright lights appeared around Nina's squadron. The alien ships had noticed them. Nina felt her fighter systems shut down one by one. The engines stopped, the weapons went offline, and even the life support began to fail. This is it, she thought. They're going to destroy us now. But something strange happened. The alien ships just sat there, holding the human fighters in their energy fields, but not destroying them. Nina could see the alien vessels through her cockpit window, dark and mysterious. She wondered what the aliens were thinking. On the alien flagship, War Commander Dex Nil studied the captured human ships. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen anything like this. The human pilots were still trying to fight, even though their ships were completely disabled. They were sending radio messages to each other, planning some kind of desperate attack. This is unusual, he told his aide. Most species surrender immediately when they see our power. These humans seem to think they can still win. Perhaps they don't understand how outmatched they are, the aide suggested. Dexnil shook his head. No, they understand perfectly. Their scans show they know exactly how powerful we are. Yet they continue to resist. This behavior does not match any of our previous conquests. Back on Nina's fighter, the pilot made a decision that would change everything. Even though her ship was powerless, and she was certainly going to die, she activated the emergency beacon that would send all their scanner data back to Earth. At least our people will know what they're up against, she said to herself. The beacon sent a powerful signal that cut through the alien energy field. For just a moment, the signal created a small disruption in the alien ship systems. It was tiny, almost nothing, but it was the first time any human technology had affected the aliens at all. Dexnell noticed the disruption immediately. How did they do that? He demanded. Their technology is centuries behind ours. His scientists had no answer. According to everything they knew about physics and engineering, what the humans had just done was impossible. Nina felt her fighters. Power returned suddenly. The alien energy field flickered and went out. For a few seconds, her weapons were online again. She knew she couldn't hurt the alien ships, but she fired anyway, sending a stream of energy toward the nearest vessel. The shots missed, but barely. The alien ship had to actually move to avoid them. In that moment, Nina realized something important. The aliens weren't gods. They could be surprised. They could make mistakes. All fighters, this is Walsh, she said over the radio. I don't know what just happened, but keep fighting. Don't give up. These things can be beaten. As the human fighters regrouped and prepared for another attack, Dexnell felt something he had never experienced in centuries of conquest. For the first time in his life, he was uncertain about the outcome of a battle. The war for Earth was about to begin, and neither side knew that humanity possessed a secret weapon that would change the fate of the galaxy forever. The alien invasion began 3 days after the first contact. Supreme Chancellor Vexthal expected the humans to surrender as soon as they saw the power of the Kethari fleet. Every other species in the galaxy had done the same thing. They would fight for a few hours, realize they could not win, and then give up. But the humans were different. Colonel Ryan Adams crouched behind a pile of broken concrete in what used to be downtown New York. The Kethari had destroyed most of the tall buildings in the first hour of their attack. Their weapons turned steel and glass into dust with single shots. But somehow, people were still fighting back. Katie, do you have those devices ready? Ryan asked into his radio. Katie Johnson crawled over to him, carrying a backpack full of strange-looking equipment. She had been an engineer before the invasion, designing computer chips for smartphones. Now she was building weapons from old car parts and kitchen appliances. I don't know if these will work, she said, pulling out something that looked like a flashlight attached to a car battery. According to everything I learned in school, this shouldn't be able to hurt their shields at all. But Ryan could hear there was more. But I keep having this feeling that it will work anyway. I can't explain it. It's like my brain is telling me something my education never taught me. Ryan nodded. He'd been having the same strange feelings. When he looked at the alien ships, he could somehow see weak spots that his military training said shouldn't exist. It made no sense, but he had learned to trust his instincts. They moved through the rubble toward a group of alien soldiers. The HFY warriors wore armor that made them look like walking tanks. Their weapons could cut through anything humans had ever built. But when Katie fired her homemade device, something impossible happened. The energy beam from her flashlight weapon went right through the alien shield and hit the warrior in the chest. The alien fell down, his armor smoking. Katie stared at her device in shock. "How did that work?" she whispered. "I don't know," Ryan said, "but keep doing it." On the alien flagship, War Commander Dexnell was getting reports that made no sense. His ground forces were having trouble with the human resistance fighters. The humans were using primitive weapons that should not be able to harm HFY equipment, yet somehow they were working. "Show me the battle recordings," he ordered. The holographic display showed human fighters attacking his troops. Dexnell watched as crude human weapons penetrated advanced alien shields. He saw human soldiers lifting debris that should have been too heavy for their weak bodies. Most confusing of all, he watched human medics somehow keeping badly wounded fighters alive long past when they should have died. "This is impossible," he muttered. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. Their bodies are fragile. Yet they are fighting better now than they did 3 days ago." His science officer, a thin alien with 4 arms, studied the data carefully. "War Commander, our psychological profiles of the human species predicted they would surrender within 48 hours. All of our computer models show the same result. But the humans are not following the pattern." "What pattern should they be following?" "Every species we have conquered shows the same behavior. They fight hard at first, and gradually lose hope as they realize they cannot win. Their resistance gets weaker over time until they give up completely." Dexnell looked at the new reports coming in from Earth. "And the humans? The humans are doing the opposite. Their resistance is getting stronger. Small groups of humans are accomplishing military objectives that should require armies. Their weapons are somehow becoming more effective. And their soldiers are refusing to retreat, even when facing certain death." Dr. Elena Martinez was working in an underground laboratory beneath the ruins of Chicago. As a brain scientist, she had been studying the neural activity of resistance fighters who volunteered for her research. What she found made her question everything she thought she knew about human biology. "Look at this brain scan," she said to her assistant. "This is from a soldier who has been fighting for 72 hours straight. He should be exhausted, but his brain is showing activity levels I've never seen before." The brain scan showed strange patterns of electrical activity. The soldier's mind was working in ways that seemed to defy normal human limitations. Areas of the brain that usually worked separately were somehow connected, creating new pathways that had never been documented in medical literature. "It's like stress is actually making their brains work better," her assistant said. "That shouldn't be possible." "No, it shouldn't," Elena agreed. "But I'm seeing the same patterns in every fighter we've tested." The worse the situation gets, the more their brains seem to adapt and improve. Meanwhile, pilot Tony Garcia was leading a secret mission to infiltrate one of the smaller alien ships. His team included Rebecca Lee, who had been a radio technician before the war. Their job was to plant listening devices and learn more about alien communications. The mission should have been impossible. The alien ship was guarded by sensors that could detect a mouse from a mile away. But somehow, Tony's team made it inside without being noticed. They moved through the ship's corridors like they had been there before, instinctively knowing which way to go. "How do you know where?" "We're going," Rebecca whispered. "I don't know," Tony admitted. "I just have this feeling about which direction is right." They found the ship's computer center and began copying files. What they discovered was shocking. The aliens had detailed studies of human psychology and behavior. The Cathari had been watching Earth for months before the invasion, learning everything they could about humanity. "Look at this," Rebecca said, pointing to a file on the screen. They ran thousands of computer simulations of the invasion. Every single one shows humans surrendering within 2 days. "But it's been a week," Tony said. "And we're still fighting. That's not the strangest part. Look at this note from their commander. He says their battle computers are starting to malfunction. The strategic programs that have worked for centuries are giving wrong answers when they try to predict human behavior." As they copied the files, alarms began to sound throughout the alien ship. They had been discovered. Tony's team ran toward their exit route, but alien soldiers blocked their path. They were trapped with no way out. "This is it," Tony thought. "We're going to die here." But then something strange happened. As the alien weapons powered up to fire, the ship's lights flickered. The alien soldiers looked around in confusion as their equipment began to malfunction. In that moment of distraction, Tony's team slipped past them and escaped. Later, when they were safely back at the resistance base, Rebecca looked at the data they had stolen. "Tony, look at this." The aliens recorded everything that happened during our escape. The alien sensors had detected energy fluctuations throughout their ship at the exact moment the humans were in the most danger. The fluctuations had no identifiable source, but they had caused multiple system failures that allowed the humans to escape. "It's like the ship itself was helping us," Tony said. "But that's crazy." "Maybe not as crazy as we think," Rebecca replied. "What if there's something about humans that the aliens don't understand? Something that makes impossible things possible when we really need them to be?" Back on the alien flagship, Dexnell was reading the same reports. For the first time in his long military career, he was beginning to doubt that the Cathari would win this war. The humans were not behaving like any species he had ever encountered. They seemed to get stronger the more pressure he put on them. "Prepare the reserve fleets," he ordered. "If the humans want to fight, we will give them a war they will never forget." But deep down, Dexnell was starting to worry that he was the one who would never forget this war. The humans had already done things that should have been impossible. What other surprises were they hiding? On Earth, the resistance fighters felt the change too. Something was happening to humanity, something that made them more than they had been before. They didn't understand it yet, but they could feel it. Growing stronger every day, the real war was just beginning. The war had been going on for 2 months now. Lieutenant Sam Foster was defending the Antarctic Research Station with only 12 soldiers left from his original company of 60. The alien forces had surrounded them for 3 days, but somehow they were still holding out. "Sergeant Parker, we need to move that concrete barrier," Sam said, pointing to a huge piece of debris that was blocking their escape route. Diana Parker looked at the concrete slab. It weighed at least 2 tons and would normally require a crane to move. But she walked over to it, placed her hands on the rough surface, and lifted it by herself. The massive chunk of concrete rose into the air like it was made of foam. Sam stared in amazement. Diana was a strong woman, but she was still human. What she had just done should have been impossible. But these days, impossible things were happening all the time. "How did you do that?" asked Chris Thompson, their medic. Diana looked at her own hands in confusion. "I don't know. I just really needed it to move, and it did." Chris had been seeing impossible things too. Yesterday, he had treated a soldier with a chest wound that should have been fatal. The man had lost too much blood, and his heart had stopped beating. But Chris had refused to give up. He kept working on the soldier, talking to him, telling him he was going to be okay. And somehow, impossibly, the man's heart started beating. Again. Back in the underground laboratory, Dr. Alex Bennett was working with Dr. Elena Martinez to understand what was happening to humanity. They had been studying brain scans, blood samples, and energy readings from resistance fighters for weeks. "Look at this data," Elena said, pointing to a screen full of numbers and graphs. "When humans are in extreme danger, their brain activity changes completely. Areas that normally work separately start connecting in new ways. But that's not the strangest part," Alex added. "Watch what happens to the quantum field readings when we measure them near these soldiers." He showed Elena another screen. This one displayed wave patterns that looked like ripples on a pond. But these weren't normal waves. They seemed to bend and change in response to human emotions. "The field distortions are strongest when the subjects are most determined to protect others," Alex explained. "It's like human consciousness is somehow affecting reality at the smallest level of physics." "You're saying that when humans refuse to give up, they actually change the laws of nature?" "I know it sounds crazy, but the evidence is right here. Humans evolved differently from other species. We survived by never giving up, by finding ways to keep going when everything seemed hopeless. Other intelligent species developed through logic and technology, but humans developed through pure stubbornness." Captain Lauren Hill was in space, commanding the ESS Defiance in a battle near Jupiter. Her ship had been badly damaged in the fighting. The engines were barely working. The weapon systems kept shutting down, and the life support was failing. "Captain, we're getting reports of incoming HFY ships," said Pete Adams from the engine room. 10 of them, all bigger than us. How long until our weapons are back online?" Lauren asked. 20 minutes at best," replied Carol Singh from the weapons station. "But those alien ships will be here in 5 minutes. Lauren looked at the tactical display. The alien ships were massive and undamaged. Her small, broken ship didn't stand a chance. Any reasonable captain would order an evacuation. But Lauren wasn't feeling reasonable. "All hands, this is the captain," she announced over the ship's communication system. "We're outnumbered and outgunned. Our ship is falling apart. By all logic, we should surrender or run away. But we're not going to do that. We're going to fight these aliens, and we're going to win." Her crew looked at her like she had lost her mind. But something in her voice made them believe her. They went back to their stations and prepared for battle. When the alien ships arrived, they immediately opened fire. Massive energy beams shot toward the ESS Defiance. Lauren watched the beams approach on her screen. They were going to hit her ship directly. There was no way to avoid them. But then something impossible happened. The energy beams curved away from her ship at the last second, missing by inches. The alien weapons, which had never missed their target in centuries of warfare, somehow couldn't hit one small human ship. "What just happened?" Pete asked from the engine room. "I have no idea," Lauren replied. "But our weapons are working now. Fire everything we have." The Defiance's guns, which had been broken just minutes before, suddenly came online at full power. They fired at the nearest alien ship, and their shots somehow found weak spots in the alien's shields. The massive enemy vessel exploded in a ball of fire. On the alien flagship, Supreme Chancellor Vextel was receiving reports that made his head hurt. Human resistance was not weakening as it should. Instead, it was getting stronger every day. Small groups of humans were defeating much larger alien forces. Human weapons that should not work were somehow penetrating HFY defenses. "Show," "Read the battle analysis from the Jupiter engagement," he ordered. His science officer brought up the data from Captain Hill's battle. "Chancellor, our weapons missed their target 11 times. Our targeting systems have a perfect accuracy record spanning thousands of years. This should not be possible. What is your explanation?" "We have no explanation. The quantum field readings around the human ship show distortions that violate known physics. It's as if reality itself was protecting the humans." Vex still looked at the data for a long time. In his species' long history of conquest, they had never encountered anything like this. The Cathari succeeded because they had better technology and superior tactics. But the humans seemed to operate by different rules entirely. War Commander Dexnell entered the room with more bad news. "Chancellor, we have lost 12 ships today. The humans are using weapons and tactics that our computers cannot predict. Our battle programs keep giving incorrect answers." "How is that possible?" "Those programs have worked perfectly for centuries. The programs are designed to predict logical behavior. But the humans are not behaving logically. They fight harder when they should give up. They find solutions when there are no solutions. They succeed when success is impossible." Back on Earth, the resistance fighters were beginning to understand that something special was happening to them. They didn't have words for quantum fields or consciousness effects, but they could feel the change. Colonel Ryan Adams was planning an attack on a major alien stronghold. His forces were outnumbered 10-1, but he wasn't worried. Over the past weeks, he had learned to trust the feeling that told him when something would work, even when it shouldn't. "Katie, what do your instincts tell you about this plan?" he asked. Katie Johnson looked at the map of the alien base. Logically, the attack was suicide. But she felt something else, a strange certainty that they would succeed. "It's going to work," she said. "I don't know how, but it's going to work." That night, as human resistance fighters prepared for battles they couldn't win, something was changing in their minds. The power that had always been inside humanity was finally awakening. They didn't understand it yet, but they could feel it growing stronger. The aliens had conquered 847 species across the galaxy, but they had never faced an enemy like humanity. They had never encountered a species that became more powerful when pushed to the edge of defeat. The tide of the war was about to turn, and the universe would never be the same. Dr. Elena Martinez had finally figured out how to help humans use their hidden power. She created simple training exercises that helped resistance fighters access their quantum consciousness abilities. The key was not forcing it or trying too hard. The power only worked when humans truly believed they had no other choice. "Remember," she told a group of new recruits, "this ability only comes out when you're really protecting someone else. It won't work if you're just trying to show off. You have to genuinely care more about others than yourself." Marcus Brown, a former construction worker, raised his hand. "Doc, what exactly is this power? How does it work?" "Think of it like this," Elena explained. "Your brain normally follows certain rules about what's possible and what's not. But when you're determined to save someone you care about, your mind connects to the smallest parts of reality and changes them. You're not breaking the laws of physics. You're using laws that we never knew existed." Meanwhile, Commander Jake Sullivan was preparing for the biggest space battle in human history. Word had come down that the aliens were bringing their entire reserve fleet to Earth. Every ship they had, every weapon, every soldier. It was going to be the final battle. "How many ships are coming?" asked Maya Rodriguez, still his tactical officer after all these months of fighting. "Our scouts report over 500 alien vessels," Jake said. "We have 43 ships left in the entire human fleet." Maya did the math in her head. "Sir, that's more than 10-1 odds." "I know," Jake smiled. "Perfect odds for humans." The joke made his crew laugh, but it wasn't really a joke anymore. Over the past months, they had learned that impossible odds somehow made humans fight better. The worse things got, the more amazing things humans could do. On the ground, Colonel Ryan Adams was leading attacks all over the planet. His mission was to hit alien bases at the exact same time the space battle began. The plan was to confuse the aliens and divide their attention. "All teams, remember what we've learned," he said into his radio. "Trust your instincts. When you feel like something will work, it probably will. When your gut tells you to do something that seems crazy, do it anyway." Katie Johnson was with the team attacking the alien command center in what used to be Los Angeles. She had built new weapons using the quantum consciousness research. These weren't just random inventions anymore. She understood now that human determination could make impossible technologies work. "The shield generator is behind that wall," she told her team, pointing to a barrier made of alien metal that was supposedly unbreakable. "How are we going to get through it?" asked Danny Torres, one of the newer fighters. Katie held up a device that looked like a modified drill with Christmas lights attached to it. "With this, that looks like something my kid would build in the garage," said Michelle Clark. "Maybe," Katie grinned. "But your kid probably believes anything is possible." "That's exactly the attitude we need." She pressed the drill against the alien wall and turned it on. The wall, which had withstood attacks from military explosives, began to dissolve like ice cream in the sun. Within minutes, they had a hole big enough to walk through. In space, the alien fleet was arriving. Supreme Chancellor Vexthal had brought every ship in the Kethari Empire. He was tired of this embarrassing war and wanted to end it once and for all. "This time we use maximum force from the beginning," he told War Commander Dexnell. "No more studying the humans. No more trying to understand them. We destroy them completely." "Yes, Chancellor, all ships are ready to attack." But as the massive alien fleet moved toward Earth, something strange happened. The human ships, which should have been terrified and running away, moved forward to meet them. 43 small human vessels flew directly toward 500 alien battleships. "Are they insane?" Vexthal wondered out loud. Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the ESS Liberty, watching the alien fleet approach. His ship was the largest in the human fleet, but it was still tiny compared to the alien vessels. Any normal person would have been scared, but Jake felt something else. He felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. "All ships, this is Commander Sullivan," he said over the radio. "Today we fight for our families, our friends, and our future. We're outnumbered, outgunned, and everyone says we can't win. That means we're in the perfect position to do the impossible." The first shots of the battle came from the alien fleet. Hundreds of energy beams filled space with deadly light. The beams should have destroyed the human ships instantly, but something incredible happened instead. The human ships began moving in ways that defied physics. They turned faster than their engines should allow. They dodged attacks that came from all directions at once. It was like space itself was helping them avoid the alien weapons. On the ESS Liberty, Maya watched her instruments in amazement. "Sir, our engines are showing power levels that are impossible. We're moving 3 times faster than our maximum speed. And our shields are holding against weapons that should cut right through them," added Pete Adams from engineering. Jake smiled. "That's the power of human determination, people. When we absolutely refuse to lose, reality changes to help us win." The battle became a dance of impossible movements. Human ships phased through alien attacks and appeared behind enemy vessels. Their weapons, powered by quantum consciousness effects, found weak spots in alien defenses that shouldn't exist. Captain Lauren Hill, commanding the ESS Defiance, led a squadron of fighters directly into the heart of the alien formation. Her ship had been repaired since the Jupiter battle, but it was still small and lightly armed. Target their command. Ship, she told her weapons officer, Carol Singh. Captain, that ship has shields that could stop a nuclear bomb. Then it's a good thing we're not using nuclear bombs, Lauren replied. We're using something much more powerful. We're using human stubbornness. Her ship fired its main guns at the alien command vessel. The energy beams, enhanced by the collective determination of her crew, punched through the supposedly impenetrable shields like they were made of paper. On the alien flagship, alarms were ringing everywhere. Bextel couldn't believe what he was seeing. His massive fleet was being defeated by a handful of human ships that should have been destroyed in the first minute of battle. How are they doing this? He shouted at his science officers. Chancellor, our sensors detect quantum field distortions around every human ship. The distortions are changing the basic rules of space combat. Their weapons are more powerful than they should be. Their ships are faster and stronger than possible. It's like they're fighting in a different universe where human technology actually works. Bexnell entered the bridge with panic in his voice. Chancellor, we've lost over 100 ships. The humans are winning. For the first time in Cathari history, their empire was losing a battle. The species that had conquered nearly 1,000 worlds was being defeated by humans who refused to accept that defeat was possible. The quantum consciousness effect was spreading across the entire human fleet. Every ship, every weapon, every pilot was connected by the shared determination to protect Earth. They had become something more than individual humans fighting separate battles. They had become a force that could reshape reality itself. The tide of the war had turned completely. The aliens who had seemed unstoppable were retreating, and the humans were just getting started. The final battle was almost over. The alien fleet that had seemed unstoppable was now broken and scattered. Human ships pursued the retreating Cathari vessels across the solar system. What had started as humanity's darkest hour had become their greatest victory. Dr. Alex Bennett and Dr. Elena Martinez watched the battle from the underground command center. Their research had helped explain what was happening, but seeing it in action still amazed them. Every human in the fleet was connected by something stronger than radio or computer networks. They were linked by pure determination. The quantum field readings are off the charts, Elena said, looking at her instruments. The collective consciousness effect is stronger than we ever imagined possible. It's not just the soldiers fighting, Alex replied. Every human on Earth who wants to protect their family is contributing to this power. 8 billion people all hoping for the same thing at the same time. On the alien flagship, Supreme Chancellor Vexthul was facing the complete destruction of his fleet. In his long life, he had conquered hundreds of worlds. No species had ever defeated the Cathari Empire. But now his greatest fleet was running away from a handful of human ships. Chancellor, we must retreat, War Commander Dexnell urged. We have lost over 400 ships. The humans are pursuing our remaining vessels. This is impossible, Vexthul said, staring at the tactical display. How can a primitive species defeat technology that took us thousands of years to develop? Perhaps we should ask them, suggested his science officer. Vexthul looked at him in surprise. Ask them what? Ask them how they do it. In all our conquests, we have never encountered anything like this. Maybe it's time we tried to understand instead of just attacking. For the first time in Cathari history, their leader decided to request a meeting with an enemy instead of demanding surrender. Admiral Lisa Carter received the alien communication in the Earth Command Center. After months of war, the aliens wanted to talk. She looked around at her staff, all of them exhausted but victorious. What do you think? She asked Commander Jake Sullivan, who had just returned from the space battle. I think they're scared, Jake replied. For the first time, they've met an enemy they can't beat. They want to know how we did it. Should we tell them? Dr. Bennett stepped forward. Admiral, I think we should. Not because we owe them anything, but because they need to understand that humanity can't be conquered. If they truly understand what makes us special, they'll never try to attack us again. The meeting took place on a neutral space station between Earth and the alien fleet. Admiral Carter, Commander Sullivan, Dr. Bennett, and Dr. Martinez represented. Humanity. Supreme Chancellor Vestal came with his top commanders and scientists. The aliens looked exactly like the humans had imagined. They were tall and thin, with gray skin and large, dark eyes. But what surprised the humans was how tired and confused they seemed. We have conquered 847 worlds, Vestal began. Every species we have encountered follows the same pattern. They fight with their technology until they realize we are superior. Then they surrender and join our empire. But you humans are different. How are we different? Admiral Carter asked. You become stronger when you should become weaker. Your weapons work when they should fail. Your ships survive attacks that should destroy them. We need to understand how this is possible. Dr. Bennett leaned forward. Chancellor, may I ask you something first? In all your conquests, what happened to the species that surrendered to you? They become part of our empire. They serve useful functions based on their abilities. But do they remain the same species they were before? Do they keep their culture, their way of thinking? Vestal paused. No, they adapt to our ways. They become more like us. More logical, more efficient, less emotional. That's why you can't understand us, Dr. Martinez said. Every species you've conquered gave up the thing that made them special. They traded their unique nature for survival. But humans can't do that. Explain this. Dr. Bennett stood up and walked to the viewing window that showed Earth in the distance. Humans evolved differently than other intelligent species. We survived not because we were the strongest or the smartest, but because we never gave up. When faced with impossible situations, we found ways to keep going. That sounds inefficient, the alien science officer said. Maybe, Jake Sullivan replied. But it also made us something you've never encountered before. When we absolutely refuse to accept defeat, our minds connect to the basic building blocks of reality and change them. You're saying you alter the laws of physics through willpower? Not willpower alone, Elena explained. It only works when we're trying to protect something we love more than ourselves. It's not about being selfish or wanting power. It's about caring so much about others that reality itself helps us save them. Vestal listened carefully. This quantum consciousness effect you describe, can other species learn it? I don't think so, Alex said. It's not something you can teach or copy. It comes from the specific way human minds developed over millions of years. We're probably the only species in the galaxy that has this ability. Which means, Admiral Carter said firmly, that humanity can never be conquered. No matter how advanced your technology becomes, no matter how many ships you bring, we will always find a way to fight back. And the more impossible the odds, the stronger we become. The room fell silent as the aliens processed this information. Finally, Vestal spoke. We understand now. You are not just another species to be conquered. You are something new, something that changes the rules simply by existing. What does that mean for the future? Jake asked. It means the Kethari Empire will leave human space and never return. More than that, we will establish a quarantine zone around all human worlds. We will warn other species that humanity possesses a power that makes them unconquerable. War Commander Dexnil added, we will spread word throughout the galaxy that humans are to be left alone. Any species that tries to conquer Earth will faced the same defeat we have suffered. 6 months later, the last alien ship left the solar system. Humanity had not only won the war, but they had earned something far more valuable. They had gained respect from the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Dr. Bennett and Dr. Martinez continued studying the quantum consciousness effect. They learned that the power was always there, waiting for moments when humans needed to protect what they loved most. It couldn't be used for conquest or personal gain. It only worked when humans were defending others. Jake Sullivan was promoted to admiral and put in charge of humanity's first interstellar fleet. As humans began exploring other star systems, they carried with them the knowledge that they possessed something unique in the universe. Other alien civilizations had heard about humanity's victory over the Cathari. Some were curious, others were afraid, but all of them were respectful. Humanity took their place among the stars not as conquerors, but as the species that had proven something important about the nature of consciousness and reality. The secret power that had defeated the alien forces was not a weapon or a technology. It was something much simpler and much more powerful. It was the human ability to care about others more than themselves, and to never give up when protecting what they love. In a galaxy full of species that had achieved greatness through logic and efficiency, humanity stood alone as the species that had achieved the impossible through the power of the heart. They had shown that sometimes the most advanced technology in the universe is simply refusing to quit. The stars were waiting, and humanity was ready to explore them, carrying with them the knowledge that no force in the galaxy could ever truly defeat the human spirit.